Holy crap, you guys are already here? I just started the live feed. just started. How long have you guys been waiting? You been waiting on me or something? Morning. I got everything set up, then had to go poop. I was expecting my typical, I mean, the live feed didn't start. I set it up, but it didn't start for a few minutes. It was sitting there waiting to go live. What's up, sis? So I was getting everything set up and realized I had to go drop a quick deuce. So I know you guys are looking at this backwards. This is Alaska Brewing Company, Hypothermia. This is like my favorite IPA. They very rarely have it. It's new knife day, huh? Did you get a new knife? Anyway, they very rarely have it, so when they have it, I grabbed the last two that they, I grabbed the last two that they had, Hypothermias. The thing is, you gotta be careful with them. I love them, but they're like fucking 8.5%. You know what? Was that a sprint run or something? Because I had a guy just get in contact with me about one that he got yesterday, a PM2 in 20 CV, and he was very yeah, okay. He seemed very disappointed, and it's coming my way for sharpening. Apparently his was like all jacked up. Apparently his was all jacked up, and it was so he got his yesterday and messaged me and was like, look, this thing, yeah, he was saying that his was really what am I looking for? His was really jacked up, so it's coming my way here in the next few days. He's leaving town, and then he's gonna send it to me when he gets back. But he got his yesterday and was real disappointed, like the edge was fucking wrecked. Oh, so you guys don't know the joy of what happens when you have allergies in a part of Ohio where they make hay. When they cut hay, oh boy. That's all right. I'm allergic to my watch band. I think I'm gonna have to get a new watch band. I get a spot right here, just itches like crazy. My other Apple Watch did not do that. The band on my other Apple Watch did not. So I don't know. Well, guys, I got those knives done yesterday, the ones I set out to do. I was going to show you guys the Kramer, but I really don't want to because I can't in good conscience. But this one, guys, whoo, buddy. It is so thin. It's so thin that it's just ridiculous sharp. Remember I was telling you guys this one, I like this one when I opened it, because at first I was like, what? Because I was looking and I didn't really see it was a front flipper, and I was looking for a nail nick, couldn't find one. I was like, what the fuck is this? Then I realized it was a front flipper that I could use. Actually, it's not even a front flipper, it's a front opener. Well, they're all front openers, aren't they? But it's like having a thumb stud without having a thumb stud. I still don't remember. It's a South African maker. It's a really nice knife. I will find out for you, Bradley. I'll find out for you. It came from my customer, Chris, in Missouri. Hang on a second. I gotta let the cat in. Cat's losing her shit. Calm down. So, and then I had a couple things come in that are projects that are going to take a little bit of time. I got one that is, I'm not even going to show it to you guys. There's a good chunk of the blade missing. There you go. It's a Clyde Chancellor or something. It's a nice little knife. I really, really like it. I don't like the sports. See, this is the band I like. That's the thing. This is the band I like because especially the fact that I'm up at the shop and stuff like that, it's easy to clean up and take care of and stuff like that. So this is the plain loop. And it's weird. It's just one little spot that just gets all itchy and the patchy, the skin gets dry. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I do not, I hate to admit it, but I am very, very much hooked on the Apple Watch. There's so many things you can do with it. Like I can do stuff with it, it's more of a convenience. I don't have to pull my phone out of my pocket at all. And the nice thing is like, especially when you're like, I'm grinding and this hand is like filthy, nasty, and my phone's in my right hip pocket, I can just go like, this and check and see what it was. Yeah, my Pebble, that's what this replaced, was a Pebble. I had the Pebble 2, and then Pebble sold out to, they just basically gave up on the, I think Fitbit just bought them out just to fucking take competition off the fucking market and just never did anything with it. The Pebble was a very, very good smartwatch. This does more. It really does. And now that I have a waterproof one and all that stuff. Yeah, the live streams are usually just a bunch of us BSing, but the giveaway is getting closer. We're like 20 subscribers from doing the 4,000 subscriber giveaway. And like I said, if you guys don't know what you're getting for the giveaway, you're getting a new inbox Vanoy Snap Lock by CRKT. It was in that video. I used this. The only thing this knife has ever done was be out for that video that I did. But basically any smartwatch, Jeremy, I like the look of some of those Samsung smartwatches. But any smartwatch actually would be, because I was hooked on my Pebble, but I can do more with this than I ever could with my Pebble. The only thing I wish this did that my Pebble used to, if I walked away from my phone and I got close to the Bluetooth range, it would buzz. It would vibrate and let me know I just walked away from my phone. Real convenient. This is kind of close. I can swipe up after I unlock it. I can swipe up and hit the Find My Phone option. Come on. And do stuff like that. So it's nice because I'm like, oh, where's my phone? And I can hit the thing and I can ping it and I can make the light flash, the flashlight flash, because a lot of times my phone is face down. It's just a habit. Yeah, that's the only thing I wish it did. I wish it would vibrate when you walk away from it. Okay, guys. Once again, one of two. Nico's selling this for 400 bucks. I would probably be inclined to throw an edge on one of it for you if you really wanted it. So I am going to do a video today. I have a video I want to do today. And it's not going to be a real long video, but I do want to get this video done today. I've been thinking about doing it, and it's maintaining kitchen knives and what you should and shouldn't use. Mostly what I'm going to talk about is why you shouldn't use this. I'm hoping, I'm debating. And tomorrow, I've got to get a bunch of stuff done today because tomorrow we're going to the county fair. I promised my daughter we'd go to the county fair. the day that makes sense, because she has another competition coming up soon. The day that makes sense so we're not interfering with training schedule and thing like that is Wednesday. Or I mean, sorry, Thursday. So I'm going Thursday. So your stuff is still getting the same amount of attention. Waiting on a Hinder or Maximus. I had a guy that was supposed to send me a Troubled Blades or something, and he was all about it, and then I just never heard anything back from him. But there's all kinds of stuff that I get talked to about. Hey, I want to do this, or I want to send you these knives, and then I send back the response email, and we do pricing and stuff, and then once I do all that, then I never hear anything from them ever again. It's just like they I don't know. I can't wait till the website is up and the website's going to field all that, because that first initial contact where you get a response email with a price listing and stuff in it, and I think there's going to be a form to fill out with all your information. Once that, then I'm not going to do that first interaction, and that's like every morning I spend. There wasn't much this morning. I spent maybe 30 minutes going through email and responding and stuff like that. Yeah, she did. She did do great. She took first in the competition, but what happened yesterday that you guys haven't heard yet, there's been a few people I've told, so there's like 13 of you guys here. She is now, the national rankings came out, and she is number 2 in the entire country. Number 2. And the girl that, if she had landed everything cleanly and got the score she had at the competition before, she would be 2 points ahead in first place. But, you know, so I mean, second in the nationwide standings, we saw the list of the top 25, I think. It was the sheet that I saw, and she was number 2, and they're only separated by like 2 points. That's a matter of one fall, one jump, one things like that. So, but like I said, I realize now that as we're coming into this, I have to, at competitions, I have to act differently, because, not act differently, I've got to rein myself in a little bit, because the thing is, now everyone's watching her. And that doesn't mean I'm going to change my YouTube personality or anything like that, because this is me. You guys see me. Everybody seems to think, like, there's a lot of people that I meet, and they're like, oh, I bet you're completely different on YouTube. And no, man, that's it. That's just me. This isn't what you have. This isn't what you take to ice skating competitions. This is, you've got to, I have to just not. Yeah, it's like fucking Phil knows I am the exact same. If anything, I'm filtered here. I'm filtered here because my sense of humor gets me in trouble as it is on here, and that's a cut way back fucking sense of humor. You know, the whole conversation where I fucking the thing where I was saying that, you know, I didn't know if the guy could have been the night janitor for all I know. That's 100% my sense of humor. I found that as funny. You know, if I don't know something about a person, or the comment like Peter said, well, he's a nice guy. I was like, well, that has no pertinence here on this during this discussion. You knew who else was a nice guy was Ted Bundy, and so that's my sense of humor. And I guess it just didn't translate. I guess some people just don't get my sense of humor, and that's even just that's like lowest level weirdness to my sense of humor. It doesn't translate well with people. Humans, other humans, us mutants. I watched the video yesterday. Everybody's like, "Ooh, wow, that doesn't surprise me. Doesn't look like you read a lot. Not a lot of big reading going on that face." And anyway, the book said, they're not read a book. The video said that the guy was talking about how if you look at the laws of the laws that have been built up over, like, how information gets diminished over time, how much we know about our past, it doesn't fit with the laws of technology and knowledge, because of, you know, things get lost over time. And he was talking about, it was 100% the it was 100% a conspiracy theorist channel, but the way he was describing, our knowledge of human history and where we came from is beyond the bounds of what should be theoretically possible. Because when you look at everything, when they talk about diminishing, the diminishment of information after 123 years is the number that you come up, and there was actual math, there was an actual paper done on this that was like an actual, and he was talking about after 123 years, like less than 1% of what the true truth was. And that's when he was like, he laughs. He's like, I laugh when I hear historians say, well, I know this because I study history. And he said, if you think studying history now gives you any fucking real view of what happened then, you are so sorely mistaken. And he broke it down with a chart that showed how many years over a period of time and how much truth to the information it's left. And it's very, very, very frightening to think about that we say we know so many things, and that the truth of it is you can only go back about 123 years by the numbers. And the paper was not like a conspiracy theorist paper. This was like in the 1920s, where it was like the guy was the physicist and he was talking about, yeah, exactly. It's written by the victors. And why do we have 19 people and only 5 thumbs up? I mean, I get it. There's probably at least 3 people on here that I have muted from the channel. At least 3, because I know they watch my live feeds, because after they post up, I can see the comments. It says that someone has made comments, but no one can see them. You can't actually read them. They're muted. So it tells me that, yes, I got a comment, but obviously it wasn't one from a person that I liked or wanted to keep on the channel, because like I said, I do fucking cut people for being disrespectful to other viewers and stuff like that. All right, Peter, see, now you're being ignorant, because I can write anything I want in a book. That's why we say the victors write the history. So if you think the history that you read is correct, I got news for you. Go to a different country, read that same history. It's not going to be the same. That was the point I'm making. And you're talking about books. That's great. That's great. But that's a book that one person wrote. Or maybe a group of people got together and wrote. That's one viewpoint. That's not truth. That's a viewpoint. And that's the point he was getting at, is when it happens, everybody knows. But as it gets further away from that point where an event happened, the less people that have actually done anything about it. And so therefore, very, very, very diminished points of view. So you go from all these points of view to several points of view, and then whatever survives throughout history could be the only point of view. And you're gonna... Sarah, take care of Peter and explain to him, you're the historian in the family. Heard anything about the Spartan blades, thinking of picking... I've sharpened a couple of the Spartan blades. Sarah, sick him. Give him the truth about history. Give him the fucking ugly truth that he didn't learn. Give him the ugly truth. Because I got news for you. In Japan, they are taught that Pearl Harbor was in retaliation fucking Nagasaki, and then we dropped the second bomb, or we dropped the first bomb on Hiroshima. They attacked Pearl Harbor in retribution. Then we dropped the other bomb, and then they gave up. That's what they teach in Japanese schools. So figure that. So you know what? Here's what we do. Never mind, sis, because this is why I put Peter in timeout, because it's not that I don't like Peter. I tolerate Peter. I mean, he gives me money. He's a customer. But this is why I put Peter in timeout. he wants to get into something that has nothing to do with what anybody else wants to talk about. That's it. I'm like, fucking punctuation Peter's at it again. So, and the thing is, like, I know what I want my sister to do, but the fact is, it's just not going to work. Yeah, right? I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Hey, Peter, I know you don't have a girlfriend, but I just want to remind you, Hitler had a girlfriend, and therefore, Hitler is more desirable than you were. Hitler was more desirable than you currently are. That's cold, right? That's cold? That's cold. Let's see. That rag's got mildew, did he? That's going to have to be washed. So, yeah, I got up this morning, did all my email stuff. Was going to start this earlier. You know, I know some of you guys like the earlier thing. There's 20 of us and only 11 likes. I know you guys can't like it twice. It's probably the people that left earlier. Yeah, that's the one that people forget about. You guys, that's one of the ones that doesn't get written about very often, and I don't see it in any history books anymore. I remember studying about it in American history because our American history teacher was a very good teacher. He may have been a fucking goofball, but Mr. Apple taught us stuff off other books than just our school history book. And so we didn't just get one random McNally fucking isolated view of American history. And so he told us about local history during the war and what was going on during the war. And then the stuff that wasn't, he hated when you raised your hand because he remembered me. He didn't know that you were gonna be a history buff. But at any rate, American history, we learned about it, and he's the only teacher I've heard in a long time talk anything about the fact that, did you know during World War II we had concentration camps in the United States? We did. We did. And they get fucking glossed over because it makes us look the same as the Germans. Because guess what? Guess who we put in fucking concentration camps? The Japanese. If you were a Japanese American, there was a good chance that, like, if this was World War II, my wife and kid would be in a fucking concentration camp. And people forget that. That's a part of history that we wrote out of our own history. So don't tell me that just because you've got books and things that you're learning history. You're not. None of us, and that's information that is lost in time, that there's going to be less and less people talk about it. Yes, we called them internment camps. Yes, George Takei was. He talks about it. He talks about the fact that he grew up in an internment camp or spent some time. There's a lot of, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. We isolated a single race and put them in a camp. Kind of a lot like what the fucking Germans did. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We may have been the last generation that was taught that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The fact is, like I said, as we move closer and closer towards this fucking dystopian future that's currently happening, it really is. It really is. Let's go back to the hater thing. This is where I say it starts. This is where dystopia starts. Okay, so we raised an entire generation of people who this is where this passive aggressive shit, like the haters and trolls on Instagram. I'm telling you, because I did take some psychology. This is where it came from. What we've done is we went from being able to handle things on our own. Where I grew up, if somebody had a problem with it, you came to them face to face. That was how you handled things. Not necessarily a fight, but you went and you talked to that person. If it led to a fight, then that's so be it. It led to a fight. But we raised an entire culture of you can't touch your kids. You can't discipline your kids. You can't discipline your kids because no, you can't do that. So the kids were allowed to do whatever they want, but then you told them, if you have any problems, you find an adult. You would have a problem, you find an adult. All the way up through high school. That's what they were taught. Find an adult, find an adult, find an adult. Then they get themselves in a situation, and what we failed to tell them while we were telling them to find an adult was, that at some point they are the adult and they don't know how to fucking handle it. They don't know how to, they fucking go off the rails. They don't know how to handle it. There's no one that they can go to. There's no one they can go to fucking, oh God, I need an adult, but what can I do? I'm just gonna fucking, I'm gonna do some fucking passive aggressive stuff because I need an outlet. I'm gonna get on the computer and I'm gonna try and ruin this guy's fucking business, or I'm gonna fucking try and ruin this guy's life, or I'm gonna try and fucking scare him and tell him that I called CDC. Or not CDC, child development or child welfare. And I'm like, you guys saw that one, right? It's 100% because we have raised an entire culture on find an adult without making sure that they knew that they were going to be the adult. And then once they are the adult, they don't know how to fucking handle conflict. They don't know how to handle, like, you can't tell me that any of these new kids coming up that have lived on find an adult, find an adult, find an adult are going to be able to solve a school child's problem. Because you know what? They never had to solve a problem. They always found an adult. So now here we are. We've raised an entire fucking generation, thrown them out to the wolves, and it's no wonder that they're going to the government. I want this. Why isn't the government paying for this? Why isn't this? Why isn't this? Because they've never had to do anything on their own ever once in their life. I think mandatory 2 years military for every adult male is a good idea. You know why? Because it will teach you how not to be so pussy. You have to learn how to deal with people. You have to, or you fucking fail. Your lack of leadership, it's not a matter of your lack of leadership costing somebody like 25 cents on a unit. Your fucking inability to make a decision costs someone their life. When you're given a time out, Peter. When you're given it distracts me. You just rapid fire shit, and there's no question to it, Peter. There's nothing to follow. There's no value to the conversation, Peter. It's not me being mean. It's just because just got to. But at any rate, what we've done is we've raised an entire generation of people that cannot resolve a conflict on their own, and then we put them in positions where they're gonna have to, and they fail. You know why? Do you know why companies are now seeking out retired military with no college over people from Harvard? The kids that are coming out of Harvard and all these other schools now, they've realized you get 8 out of 10 of them are nothing but an HR nightmare. You get like 2 really good employees, maybe 3 out of every 10. And the rest of them are just an HR nightmare because they need an adult. I need an adult. I need an adult. And so companies are realizing, you know how much money we would save by hiring military guys, retired military. And people ask me, I was like, why would they do that? Fucking goal-oriented, fucking team-first attitude and loyalty will do anything for the company. That's what you get. You can't teach that in college. You give a military guy the right amount of, you give them the right amount of motivation and they will accomplish anything they asked. Because you're taught that. Do more with less. Do something with nothing. But you have a goal, you're goal-oriented, you're 100% part of a team. That team-first attitude, like I told you guys, God, country, service, unit, family, self. That's what you're preached from the time you join the military. That's your list of important things. And if you work for a company that treats you right, that whole thing gets flipped right back into the company. I understand now. There's companies that have stopped doing this, like, oh, we're gonna hire all these high-level graduates from these colleges, and they're looking to guys in the military because they can think around corners and do this stuff because they had to. Because there's a lot of times it's just you and fucking 12 other guys, and you have nothing else. You've got to fucking be able to think around that corner. You've got to be able to make those decisions. Because a decision at a business might cost the business $1 million. Decision in the field could cost everyone their life. And I'm not saying that this guy who's just constantly doing stuff, I'm not saying I would even fight him. But if you got a problem with me, bro, you don't, that's some pussy shit. I think we should call child welfare services. You're obviously intoxicated all the time. I read the whole fucking email. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, I did just drink a half a cup of coffee in one big gulp. So, but now that we had that little rant, that's, like I said, that's my take on it. It's 100% that taking away parental rights to discipline your child and teaching them that you can't don't resolve anything on your own. Don't do that. You're going to get in trouble, this and that. You've taken all these things away from children that they need developmentally. And my daughter has a problem. We don't take care of it. We don't take care of it. She's like, I was like, well, figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out on your own. Or come at me with some ideas. Don't just expect me to fix your problem for you. Daddy, this. So? She flipped out when she fucking, everyone gets a trophy. That's another, yeah, participation trophies. That find an adult participation trophy fucking thing. These kids, these people that do this shit, they never got cut from a team. They never got told they weren't good enough to play. I have news for you. I like the idea of everything being even for everybody, but equality is a construct found nowhere in nature. It's something that we have done, because I got news for you. If you want equality, you want proof that there is no equality, put a rabbit in a cage with a fucking big cat like a lion or a tiger and show me how that's an equal opportunity. Because it doesn't exist anywhere else in nature. Even in rabbits. Animals that have broods of multiple babies, there's a lot of times that they have that many because they know a lot of them aren't going to survive, because some of them are going to be weaker. They're not equal. And therefore they don't get the equal attention. But that's the problem, is we've raised an entire culture where these people that are not equal, that have deluded themselves into thinking that they're so super hyper intelligent, we have allowed them to have an equal playing ground, and they have their voice, which I'm fine with having their voice, but the fact is that we've given them the equal opportunity, and therefore these people that have deluded themselves into thinking that this is what they... I read a thing where a guy said that fucking owning a dog was white privilege, because it was a way for wealthy white pet owners to go to like a dog park or a dog beach and interact with other wealthy white pet owners. And I was like, I'm not seeing it. Not seeing it, Hoss. Just not seeing it. I didn't get it. And another one was like, there was one that was saying that people of color are usually oppressed and go to lower income schooling, and therefore if you use large words, that is a form of white supremacy, because you're using big words and trying to sound like a thesaurus, and it's a way to keep the people of color down. And I was like, where do these people come from? These are the people that 15, 20 years ago we would have been laughing at because they were out fucking, fucking worshiping the sun on cliffs and shit. You're like, you see these fucking hippies? And the government's just as responsible for it. Make everything standardized. talk to Nick. Apparently, so some of you guys were telling me that Nick said something about doing a video, a collab video with me. I just, because before I talked to him, I wanted to make sure he said it on a. If you're following a trend, you're 2 steps behind. 24 people, 14 likes. I keep doing it. Somebody told me to keep doing it on an Instagram live stream. Okay, well, I gotta do some sharpening today. I'll reach out to Nick later today. So, okay, so it was on an Instagram live feed. I will ask him what he was talking about because, oh, the other thing. So I know not all of you guys follow Nico on Instagram. Nico posted up something. He had talked to Elliot. We are going to try and do a get together up in Nico's town of Banning, which is about 130 miles from here. So he's up in North County. If he's even still in San Diego. I don't think he's in San Diego County. I think he's up in Imperial. Yes, so we're gonna do that, the Inland Empire knife gathering get together. I think it's gonna be me, Elliot, Nico, at some bottle and tap room for some brewery up there where he lives in Banning. So it's like, I think if I remember right, it's 123 miles to Nico's house because it's 132 miles to the ice rink. No, Peter, I'm not going to stop typing you out, but you distract the shit out of me. He's texting me now. So Peter's texting me in the background, which means I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb this morning. Guys, if you're trying to call me, there's a good chance it's either just gonna ring and ring and ring because I don't have my phone with me, and I put my watch on Do Not Disturb so that it doesn't ring through and my phone will be on the couch. Or my phone's on Do Not Disturb because I'm out there sharpening and I'm watching Netflix or something on it and I don't want to be disturbed. It's not that I'm singling Peter out. I have not blocked Peter. If you're trying to get a hold of me, there's a 98 to 99% chance that you're gonna get the answering machine. Just leave a message. And I mean, here's the thing. If you're calling me, you're going about it wrong anyway, because everybody has to send me an email. Because that way I have a record to go back to. Like if somebody says like, well, you didn't cut a choil in on it. And I had a guy fucking do this, sent me a Spyderco, and he said he just wanted, and it wasn't Ben, because I did Ben's, and then I asked him, I was like, I was gonna see if you wanted a choil, but you didn't say anything about it. I don't cut those in just because the customers got to tell me they want it. And so I did not cut. You called me and told me that mom was going to the hospital the last time she was real sick. That's the last time you called. And that was when her legs, when she had that, looked like she had a septic infection running down her legs and shit. Anyway, cellulitis, she had cellulitis. So I keep a record of everything because I just recently had a guy throw a fit because he was like, well, you didn't cut a choil in on the Spyderco. I was like, you didn't ask me to cut a choil in on that Spyderco. You asked me to give it a basic sharpening, period. That's all you wanted. I've sent you back an email. I say, you sure that that's all you want? There's gonna be a spot at the back. And he was like, no, we didn't talk about that. And I was like, sir, I've got the email. I got the email. I can pull it up. I can resend you the email. And he goes, well, hang on a second. And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't read that one. I was like, see? I used to put my entire sharpening structure, price list and stuff in an email. It was all written in text and no one read it. Like I would have to basically walk them through the steps. Like, okay, wait, just call me. At that point, it would be just call me and I'll explain it. And so what I did was I shot a video. I shot a video so that people can watch the video because I thought, okay, nobody reads, but people don't even listen to the video. And so I get stuff and they're like, okay, well, this is what I want. I'm like, yeah, I need more information. Okay, I want this. What's my estimate? I want to sharpen this knife. Okay, go refer back to the video. Please tell me what grit. I need to know if it's a Tonto. Oh yeah, it's a Tonto. And you're like, all right, we're getting there. What grit? Things like that. So it just, I keep everything in email so that I have something to refer back to. 13 people. Wow, everybody's leaving. What happened? What happened? Where'd everybody go? So Nico is doing something for me. Nico's doing the handle on my pistol with the same pattern as this that he did on my TDI. I don't, as much as I like a fixed blade, I do not like this as much as I like this. Handle's a little bit small, real easy to get forward of that by accident. This one, not so much. You need to go find mom. So I talked to my mom yesterday. My mom's been sick here and there, and so my mom had another incidence of a urinary tract infection. She's had surgery, like bladder surgery and stuff, so she's susceptible to them. But so she's been sick again, and I'm worried because we're planning that trip for her to come out here around November timeframe, and I don't want it to be I don't want to be something where she gets out here and then she's sick. You know what I mean? I would feel real bad if her trip to come out here to see her granddaughter and spend some time out here got ruined if she was sick, and it just worries me. I'm afraid that she's going to... Yeah, you need to get her duct taped to bed and rest up, and I need to check into what places she has available to her for medical care based on her insurance. So I'm gonna have to get with her on that. Why does anyone buy or use Tonto blades? I hate them. Now, okay, well, let's be real clear. A Sponto, which is the Rick Hinderer Sponto blade grind, is a lot like a Japanese Tonto, which there's a lot of merit in. The American Tonto is really good if you are going to carry it in a self-defense role for, well, let me go grab one and I'll show you. Hang on, I have one. This one is mine. So actually, this is Charles Anderson's. I actually sold this to him. So these, if you were to say be someone who is going to carry this for defense, and it's going to be something like you train knife fighting, that point right there, what that allows you to do is a snap cut. It's so much more effective. It makes that into a sharpened wedge. You remember the old fucking video cartoons where they would do the flying V? Same kind of thing. So now what you've turned that into is a secondary point, and it breaks that through that skin, and it does a devastating job on a snap cut. But the fact is, yeah, you're right. They are not real strong, and so the tips and stuff break, but and things like that. But so like Matt's is a full serrated. They are really good for that, but you know what else is really good for that? Something like this. Which I always said that I thought this looked like a utility blade, a utility knife blade, just big one. So Tontos do have their merit for certain things, but for the average person, this is just not gonna be what they need. Jesus, I gotta fix this thing. The tips will break. If you don't have a lot of material here, the one thing that they are nice for is you can get them up under something and push that tip. So if you're cutting this way, I've never found them as useful, but then again, I didn't grow up in the area. So a lot of times if you've got a package or something you need to get up under it, you can get that point in there and just use that chisel point. Oh, hey, Ashton. Yeah. But, you know, you can do that with a lot of knives. The only thing is that usually Tontos are a lot flatter. And so you can get up under stuff. So, guys, my fucking thumb is killing me. I fucking took the dog for a walk yesterday and I tripped and she pulled and I landed and I fucking pulled something in my fucking thumb. And it is sore all the way down through here. Like that fucking flexor tendon for the thumb, all down through here. That thing is sore. I think I just stretched it, pulled it back. No, it's not serious. I mean, fuck, it just hurts. It's a little bit swollen. Not too bad. You can use that secondary point for cutting, like some of you guys were saying, like going along things. The thing is, a lot of times that secondary point's pretty weak. The edge on it, because it comes up to a weird acute angle where you've got two angles coming up this way, two angles coming this way, and you've got that point right in the middle. A lot of times that winds up being the weakest part. And so cutting with that, what happens is you wind up rounding that edge over and it doesn't stay sharp. All right. So a lot of times that will be the first part of the knife that gets, especially on people that use them a lot, that'll be the first part that gets dull, is right up there at that secondary tip. Because it is going to be, you know, with those two angles coming together, it's a little bit thinner. I like traditional Japanese Tonto where there is a thickening there of material, and then it swings back down, because what you've got is that just reinforces and strengthens the tip. Tip grind is flat and the main tip is hollow. Yeah, that's the way these are. That's the ones that I like the best are always like this, where it's a good hollow, then with a flat grind, thicker point. That's the way that the Chris Reeve Sebenzas are. That's the way that most of the Spontos are. That Curtis that Curtis F3 that I did not long ago, where I matched the pocket clip to the case. That's more of a traditional Japanese Tonto. So it's got this swept tip, but it still has the two angles like an American Tonto. It's kind of almost a Sponto. But I think for my money, the Chris Reeves ones, I think would be my favorite, because the fact is they come down and then where they make their initial cut, it's a lot thicker there than a lot of the others. What was that? Somebody asked something. Is it absurd? No. Cold Steel I still love Cold Steel's catalog and all the stuff that they have. It's just, I know that, and I know that their sharpening a lot of times is way off. And that's not uncommon. I had two knives here direct from the maker these were Blade Show knives. Remember I talked to you guys in a video about Blade Show knives and having bad edges, but both of them were just wrecked edges. And so Cold Steel has actually gotten better. Their edges aren't great, but most of the Cold Steels I've seen, the edges have been way better. And their knives were always sharp. It was just a matter of, is that edge off this way or this way far enough that it's gonna cause easier roll? And so a lot of times that was my main concern, but their knives are always well built. I've never seen a poorly built Cold Steel. Never have I seen a Cold Steel come out of the box that I was suspect about. As a matter of fact, one of the knives that I trust the most is the Spartan in there with that triad lock. I know that that's basically a fixed blade once I open it. Their S35 VN was great. I've sharpened a few of them at S35 VN. you know, S35, their S35VN was great. So their stuff is, uh, I don't know, they run, their S35VN's fairly, it's run fairly hard. It's hard, it's like Wii's. Basically, it feels like the same heat treat on S35VN that Wii uses, which is a little harder it's harder than what Chris Reeve knives run them, because this is run real low. Their stuff is run a little hard. It's like I said, it's a lot like the way that Wii's S35VN is done, and their S35VN is way up there. Cold Steel actually, I mean, it could be off by, it could be a little bit different, but a lot of that too, Ashton, is what angle and what the bevel looks like and how steep the angle and things like that, because different companies sharpen at different angles and things like that. And it could just be that it felt easier to sharpen because of the edge geometry and how much material was actually making contact versus a different knife. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, S35V or S90V in a Benchmade 940 is a lot harder to sharpen than S90V in other blade shapes because it's thinner behind the edge. You know, a lot of knives are way thinner behind the edge than that Osborne 940. Osborne 940 is really kind of steep, kind of thick behind the edge because it's not a very wide blade. I love it, but what's up, Zach? No, I have not gotten anything back. You know what? I'm gonna call him today. Fuck, God damn it! I knew I was forgetting to do something. I sent him a message earlier in the week. I didn't get anything back, and I was like, "Fuck me." You know what? The second I saw your name come up, yeah, I'll get those tools ordered. He has a Microtech that I need to order the tools for because the tools I have don't fit any of the screws on his knife. It's a completely different set of screws. So I have to order a whole new set of tools. That will be, as soon as we get off here, that will be exactly what I'm doing. I got like 6 minutes left. Not sure really. Actually, which one is going to be better for long-term edge maintenance is going to be a hollow grind, because the blade comes down and thins and then comes back up to your edge. And so as you're taking that material off at the edge, you don't have to do any reprofiling to take off the material to account for the thickening of the blade. The blade is going to stay the same thickness back here for a very long time. If you take a hollow ground knife and you feel it, you can feel that it thickens right at the apex. And so you would have to sharpen that blade all the way back to past the middle to wind up thickening it. Because in all actuality, as you sharpen, the area behind the edge is going to get thinner because you're down. Because a hollow ground doesn't stay hollow all the way up to the edge. It looks more like, drawing with Mike again. So your edge is here, and then this material swells behind it, and then comes down and thickens up again. Now that's exaggerated. That isn't exaggerated, but here's your edge. There's a little bit more material behind it, and then you get into the hollow. And then it widens up again. So there's a lot of room for you to take that and sharpen it back, because this stays pretty steady until you start getting back into here. It'll actually thin. I thought you had left. No, but I have seen knives that are flat on one side, hollow on the other, and then have a V grind. And that kind of is doing the same thing, where you're alleviating that amount of material behind your edge as you sharpen to alleviate having to do like this. Well, like I said on this, to get this thin behind the edge, I had to take all this material all the way back off. And I mean, this is screaming sharp now. And this is the second time I've had to do this. My wife loves this kitchen knife because it's not real broad. I much prefer this one. This one's way thinner and is such a better, flatter grind and works way better for a lot of stuff. But I do understand why she uses this. It's the way she cuts. she likes to be able to use that flatter blade up at the tip. Have to we 702. I don't think the 702 doesn't fucking hollow and then flat. It's a flat where they just didn't do it. It's a lot like the 601 where there's just no distal taper. They didn't taper it anywhere near as much. It's real thick. I don't think it was hollow. Oh, talking about hardware. Well, I mean, I have, you know, we have the Santoku, the nice Santoku, which this serves a different purpose than this. Yuka uses the tip on this to chop. This is too... The 702 doesn't. The 702, they used to use... My 601 has proprietary hardware. We switched to Torx, just like this. So the 702 that Elliot had... No, wait, you're right. It still did have the proprietary pivot. I can't remember. Did it? Does it have the star? Yeah, you're right. The 702 has a star. It does. Then they switched. So, but the thing is, all you have to do, you can replace that hardware. You just have to find the right screws. If you go to Steve Kelly's website, I'm sure you can find those screws. I think they're a 2 or 3 millimeter, because they're, I mean, you'd have to look it up and take those screws and figure out the thread pattern and size and all that stuff. And you could get the, you know, you could just get the screws to replace it. And if you got a titanium ones, you could always just anodize it. But the thing is, screws are expensive. People don't realize how much screws actually cost. Those custom-made screws, they're expensive as shit. I paid $32 for a pivot, a replacement pivot. For one pivot, that was barrel and 2 screws. It's fucking insane how expensive they are. I've got those little barrels that I was looking for, the little pieces that Ashton and I were looking for that time. Remember I told you, Ashton, those things are like $3 a piece. 100. It was a small bag of them, was $100. Just a handful of them was like $100. But you know, where else are you gonna get them? There's only one guy that makes them, really. I don't like Wee's little itty bitty tool. It's so small, and then you have to put something through it. Yeah, it's expensive. When you look at the per part price, it screws and like those. So when he's talking about screws, he's also talking about standoffs, his shouldered standoffs. He gets those all pretty much from this. I think he gets those all from the same person. So basically, your hardware is going to be the most expensive part of any knife. The fittings, the fixtures, unless you can make them in house, it's. I do like the fact that we went to that's just all T8. This whole knife is nothing but T8. And it goes together so tight. This thing goes together so tight and stays so tight that my pivot came loose. The screw was just like almost falling out. No blade rattle. There was a little bit of play, but the thing was still so tight because the other screws held it so well that even though that screw was out, I didn't feel any noticeable difference in this. I didn't lock, remember the other day when I put it together? I didn't Loctite it, and I play with this knife. I flip it and things like that. And so I didn't go back and Loctite this screw, and it walked its way out. Because I don't think I actually got it that tight in the video. And I actually had this thing, like the screw was ready to fall out of it. And I was like, oh crap. But a lot like the Sebenza, it's put together in a way like I've had the screw on my pivot come loose and you don't notice on a Sebenza because it stays that tight. So, all right, guys, that's it. I've got work to do. I do have a couple knives to sharpen. All this stuff that's up here on the counter has got to get boxed up and go back. Like I said, it's been a light week, but most of the stuff that I've gotten has been has been post Blade Show stuff. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. Post Blade Show stuff. So I was talking with Aaron Frederick about it in an Instagram live feed, and he's like, "Do you get a bunch of shit right after Blade Show?" And I was like, "Yeah, a little bit." Um, and yes, I will be going up to the shop probably Friday. I don't think I'm going today, Ashton. I'll be there Friday for Farm Friday, and I've got work to do. I'll probably be there Saturday as well. But tomorrow we're going to County Fair. So anyway, so he asked me about that, and then so I talked to Aaron after we did the live feed. I was talking to him. He goes, "So I mean, like, was it for anodizing and stuff? You get this stuff that comes in after Blade Show?" I was like, "No, it's usually really fucked up edges." Because I was telling him, I was like, people get their head wrapped around. I want to buy a knife from this maker. I want to buy a knife from this maker, and a lot of the makers just let themselves get so far behind on stuff, and then jump through their own ass before a show to get stuff done. And then there's things that suffer. But when you're at the show, you've got those blinders on. You got the I really want this, I really want this, and there's only two of them. Right? You see what I'm saying? Because now you don't think about the fact you could contact this guy and probably get the same knife made after Blade Show. But what happens is these guys rush, and one of the things that gets screwed up a lot are edges. Edges and swedge grinds for Blade Show knives are always off. And so I'm like, I get these things and they come in, but you don't notice it until you've had the knife a few days and you're like, this thing isn't sharp. And that's when the newness of that wears off, and then you're like, oh, I didn't see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, there's a flaw on this knife, and it's 100% my fault. I dropped it. Most people aren't going to see it, but I know it's there, and I can't unsee it. I see it every time I do this knife, and it's going to get refinished. But the part that is got the blemish on it is one of the screws. It's my pivot screw. I dropped it on some concrete, it slid across and scratched shit out of my pivot screw. Well, I mean, is that a big deal? No, it's not a big deal. But do I notice it every time I grab this knife? Fuck yes, I do. It's like when you go grocery shop with your wife and she runs the cart into the car, and you try not to make a big deal out of it because it really wasn't her fault, and you guys were trying, you were hurried, but she hits your car and puts that little scratch just fucking north of the bumper. If she had done it by herself, you probably would have never known. You probably could go weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before you ever found that scratch. But guess what? You were there. You see it every time you get in a car. It's the first fucking thing you see. You're like, fuck me. Goddamn scratch. There's a dent in my car that I would challenge most people to find. My wife did that with a cart at the airport. One of the luggage carts. The ones in Japan, when you let go of the handles, they stop rolling. The ones in the States do not. And so she just lets go of the cart, and a fucking cart full of luggage with that big round front hit right under the passenger side door. You can barely even see it. I see that fucking dent every time I get in the car. Every time. Because you know it's there. You saw it happen. So that newness wears off, and you see those flaws every time, and then they want people to fucking fix it. And there's ways to fix it, scratches and things like that. And that's where most of my stuff comes from. Like, oh, fuck, I got this. I don't want to call the maker because then I sound fucking like I'm bitching about shit. So that's why I exist. That's the space that I fill. Guys that are like, fuck, do I send it back to the maker and wait fucking 6 or 8 weeks for it to fucking just finally get around to it? Because he's taking time off right after the show. You can send it to me, and within 1 to 2 weeks, I can fix most of the things. Sometimes things have stayed longer, like David's knife and Zach's knife. But that's because I'm not gonna lie to you, this is not a good time of year for me to be doing a lot of big projects. My wife and kid are here. This is the first summer that they haven't went straight to Japan right after school let out. This is the first summer that I haven't spent almost 2 or 3 hours a day at the shop because my wife and kid are here. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to do those things, but yeah. But guys, if you got any Blade Show knives that you just need to have an edge touched up on, or if there's just it's titanium and there's just some snail trails on it, it's fucking, you want it to fix it, I can do that too. I asked Tim Reeve yesterday via text if he'd be willing to let me borrow a Sebenza 31. So I can't promise it's gonna happen, but I would like to be able to do a side-by-side comparison of the Sebenza 31 to the 21. I would love to. And you guys know I love this knife. It's always in my fuck pocket. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. I got stuff I got to do. I got to pack stuff up so I can do some shipping. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. You don't like, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody here has already given a thumbs up. There's 23 thumbs up, 15 people here. So you guys take it easy. I will get that video shot today, but you saw like Saturday we went to the actual show and it took from Saturday till yesterday to get the video up. There's a lot of editing. Things that require a good bit of editing, they take longer, and they wind up sitting in iTunes a lot longer because I find things that I wanted to say and then I go back and I do cut-ins or I do voiceovers. I haven't had to do it for a while, but yeah. All right, guys, take it easy. GoFundMe for my daughter's gonna be down below. Like I said, second in the entire country. That's amazing. So love you guys. Take it easy. I'll talk to you later.